Well, good morning, everyone. It's a beautiful Wednesday morning, January 26, 2022. We get together with our distribution partners most weekday mornings at this time to talk strategies, tips, techniques, share success stories, and go through updates. Ultimately, we're here to cover the topics and issues that can help you be more successful. So what is it that we do together? We are technical advisors. That is the specific term that describes what you and I do. As technical advisors, we are helping entrepreneurs really with three different aspects. We help them build their financial literacy. We help them build lender compliant loan packages, and we help them overcome barriers to be able to access a minimum, guaranteed minimum of $100,000. So today we're going to talk about maybe a similar topic, should be shared on the screen, that is called the 27 mistakes. And the 27 mistakes, I want to go through briefly. Hopefully you all are familiar with it, but let's talk about the why, and then we're going to talk about the when, and then we'll go through the what. So why? Well, we've already covered that one of the most important things that you and I can do as technical advisors is help small businesses improve their financial literacy. You are a have, unfortunately, many of them are have-nots in terms of having the knowledge and understanding of what it takes to raise capital. People will come to you in droves, and people will sign up in massive numbers because they want the desired outcome. But what do you and I know? We have to qualify for capital. Them just signing up does not automatically make them qualified for a capital raise. That's too good to be true. That's not what you and I offer or can deliver. So the why that this is relevant is that you and I really need to bear down and focus on financial literacy. Let's go to when. So that was the why. The when. You can use this material to go out and educate prospects. That's not what we're going to talk about today, but you could certainly go face to face and teach this. I've taught it at libraries, at chambers, at banks, other places, but we could also teach it online. Our topic today, though, is not the when of teaching it to generate clients, but instead once we have a client onboarded. And so we are committed to providing every client this information as part of module 1. So each of you should know we have a 4-module process that we go through to, again, build financial literacy and concurrently build out the client's loan package. When we're implementing clients, we've talked about the delegated mentoring that's going really well. I encourage you to consider the delegated mentoring because it will relieve, there's no upfront cost now, and it relieves you of the burden of having to do it. But regardless if it's you or us doing it, I encourage you, I plead with you, I beg of you to incorporate this curriculum in with module 1. So in other words, a client has signed up, they're committed, right? You're committed to them, they're committed to you. But now it's time to get them off on the right track. So let's briefly go through the what, the 27 mistakes. I'm not going to go through each slide as I would for the client, but I want to hit the highlights and then have some dialogue with you of why this information is so crucial. Furthermore, I'll go as far as saying that if you don't integrate this into your module 1, assuming that they've not seen it prior to enrollment, you will have less satisfied clients, less compliant clients, and you'll be less profitable. So this is really important. Now for us, we have a checklist. So when we're doing internal implementation, like the delegated mentoring you can send us, we actually have a checklist that we are now going through with the client to confirm that they've gone through this. We don't just ask them, hey, did you watch the 27 mistakes? Because this is recorded as a video, right? 27mistakes.org. You can go see a recorded version of this on YouTube. But we've learned you can't just ask them, hey, did you view it? there are some key questions. And so we have a checklist that we go through. If you delegate mentoring to us, we'll take care of that for you. All right, so let's just go through the highlights here. We'll have a few points of discussion, but I'm not going through each slide as I would for a client. So of course you got your title screen. Normally you're going to want to build your qualifications of why they should listen to you as you educate them on the 27 mistakes. This is my information. Of course, you wouldn't use my information. You would use your information, right? So it's kind of like your little mini bio or resume. We need to communicate to the listener in this case. So we're talking about who. We're in this conversation, the who are recently signed up access to capital clients. So I'm not talking in the perspective of prospects. These people have signed up, they're committed to us, we're committed to them. And so now we need to start with a good foundation of understanding of how all this works. Because again, I know you may dismiss this. You probably make a lot of money. You're probably very successful, but a lot of our clients aren't as fortunate as you. We need to build that foundation, because if they don't have that foundation, it's going to be really hard in getting to the end result without a lot of pain. So why does this matter to the client? Not to you, not to a prospect, but to the client. Lenders and credit issuers will often automatically decline you if you don't meet their if you don't meet their approval standards. There's a formula to meet for approval, and if you don't meet it, you get an automatic approval. If you don't, you get declined. Knowing this formula is key to understanding why you may be declined. And then, of course, we always want to reiterate, not all sources of capital have the same underwriting criteria. You'll be able to see when people are financially illiterate when they ask you questions that are not really good questions, but they don't know what else to ask. And so they'll just ask you, well, what's the minimum credit score to get funded? Well, there's no one answer to that, right? Because there's many different sources of capital. Some of them don't even look at personal credit. But regardless, if you can help them understand this bullet, it's really key. Different sources of capital have different underwriting requirements. And then as in red here, don't worry as we go through these 27 mistakes. We're not expecting you to have everything perfectly in order. Most of our clients don't. We're going to help you address those issues that are relevant to you getting funded. Okay. And again, if you have any questions, comments, concerns as we go through, go ahead and just type them into the Q&A and we'll get to them as soon as possible. So we go through some basics like business name mismatch, making sure that they have an entity formed. If they don't have an entity formed yet, we need to get that formed. Do they have to have an entity to enroll in access to capital? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So I'm not saying, hey, if you don't have an entity yet, you shouldn't have enrolled in access to capital. I'm not saying that. If you hear that, you're wrong. I'm not wrong. But what you do need to be aware of is that if we want business funding, we're going to need to form an entity, right? So it's okay if they form it after they enroll with us, but they have to have an entity. Once they have an entity, then of course we need to have a business name that matches with federal, with state, with the bank, and so forth. If the entity has been formed, need to make sure it's in good standing. That often requires annual filing with the Secretary of State. If they're in a high-risk industry, it's okay. As long as it's a legal industry, we can work with them. So we're not saying that you're dismissed from the program if you're in a high-risk industry, but they do need to know that different industries are viewed with different levels of risks. So we just need to go into that eyes wide open. We need to have an entity selected, and it could be a sole proprietorship, a DBA, wouldn't recommend it. Could be LLC, C Corp, or S Corp, but they do need to understand that there's going to be more sources of business funding available if they have a true business entity. They'll need to get an EIN, of course, and that's free and easy. Business address is a big one, and this is an opportunity to help a lot of them, because a lot of small businesses do not have a true, unique commercial address. They'll be using a home address, a post office box, a shared virtual office address. And so does that mean that they can't get funding if they have one of those? No, because I've already told you a couple of times, different sources of capital have different underwriting criteria, but it's like good, better, and best. So best would be to have a true address that's a unique commercial address. And so we offer those cheap business addresses. We're working with a bunch of you to buy office buildings, so you can offer that as a revenue stream too. But certainly, if they're wanting to build business credit, get credit under their EIN, the business needs to really look credible, and having some shared office space with Regis or WeWork or whatever does not look credible enough. You need to have a business phone number. They need to have a website and email address. I mean, I have a Gmail address that I normally don't use for business. So it's not saying that, oh, you should boycott Gmail or Yahoo or American Online. But the point is, for your business, you should have a website and an email address that's branded to your website. Oh, so does that mean that I can't get funding if I don't have it? No, but it's saying that it would be better if you did have it. Oh, does that mean I shouldn't have enrolled in the program because I don't have these things? No, we're going through what we could do to improve credibility as we move forward with the process. So framing these topics are so important. We're not saying, oh, you made a mistake because you don't have a website yet, you shouldn't have enrolled, get the heck out of here. It's instead, hey, we're glad that you enrolled. Let's go through some credibility factors, bring your attention to them. And if you don't have these in place, we probably should develop a plan to put it in place. Make sense? So it's the glass is half full, not the glass is half empty. Business bank account. And that one, you just kind of bang your head thinking, well, of course, Tom, they need to have a business bank account, but you'd be surprised. You're going to have a number of clients that don't have a business bank account. And they need to consider how much money they have in their business bank account. You have clients that come to you that open their business bank account and their balance is, $100. And it's like, well, do you think that that looks very credible as we go forward with business funding? So the bank account and bank balance both matters, of course. Some industries need licensed, some don't. So just bringing that to their attention. Of course, not all do. If you're a plumber, you need to be licensed, right? Insurance agent, realtor, but of course, not all businesses need to be licensed. Now, we help them as part of the Access to Capital program build their business credit. It's an embedded portion of what we do. So mistake 11 is starting that conversation. Hey, do you have your DUNS number? Do you have your PAYDEX score? And so a lot of folks don't. And so we help them build that. That's part of the Access to Capital. Personal credit is a sensitive one because you have a lot of people that come to you and enroll because they have shitty personal credit. And there are some sources of capital that only use business credit or don't use credit at all. So that's a true statement. The SBA, you only need about a 165 FICO to get an SBA loan. So, it's a little more complicated, but at least we do want to address as we go through the 27 mistakes that it would make the most sense to do what you can to optimize your personal credit. We talked about that we do three things, right? We help clients build financial literacy. We help them build a lender compliant loan package. And third, we help them address the 3 C's to become more fundable so they can get a minimum of 100,000. One of the C's, of course, is credit, and credit can be over in business credit or in personal credit, and we help them with both. So business credit's an embedded portion that we help them build their business credit, and personal credit now we have the 60-day credit suite for free for Access to Capital clients. Mistake number 14, collateral. So again, what do? We help them build financial literacy, build a lender compliant loan package, and improve their 3 C's so they're fundable enough, credible enough to get at least 100,000. So one of the C's is credit. We've covered that. Now we're on collateral. Collateral matters. Some sources of capital doesn't look at collateral. Some do. And the nice thing is you and I have the collateral support program now, so we can get anyone the collateral that they need. And that'll commonly be an issue. So again, as we're going through this with new clients, we're not trying to overwhelm them, certainly not trying to chase them off, but we've got to give them in a snapshot, a baseline of information. because you'll have some goofy clients sometimes. I say that lovingly. They'll come to you naively. Great, I signed up. I'm going to get my 100,000 in 4 weeks, right? Well, maybe if you qualify for it, but first we need to go through and go through the 4 modules and build out the loan package, populate the Dropbox and see what you qualify for and identify any shortcomings. So collateral is an area that you'll find that many clients need assistance with, but that's fine. We have the resource for that now. Need to have a business plan, and of course we address that in module 1. Financial projection. So again, we're not saying, oh, you should have had a business plan already. That's an embedded part of what we do, right? That's in module 1. We do that. You need to have financial projections. Again, not saying that they should already have those. If they do, that's fine, but that's what we build, and that starts in module 1. Need to identify specifically their uses of funds, and that's part of module 1. Industry experience. Not all sources of capital care about lender experience, but some do. And so that's leading into the fact that we're going to be helping them put together a resume or bio for their loan package. You know that. And then also in the business plan, it references their qualifications. This is a really nice one at 19, advisors. And this feeds well into yesterday's topic. We talked about the entrepreneurial ecosystem, didn't we? Well, businesses should have a team of advisors. So are we saying, oh, you should have had this team before you came in? I shouldn't have enrolled if I didn't have all this in place? Of course not. We're just moving you from where you're at to where you need to be and covering some basics. So a lot of small businesses don't have a CPA. I'm not a CPA. I have a degree in accounting, but I'm not a CPA. I don't perform CPA services. I don't get kickbacks from referring people to CPAs. But with the entrepreneurial ecosystem, you should have relationships with CPAs in your community, because they can refer to you and you can refer to them, because frankly, a lot of these clients will not have a CPA in place. Small businesses should have an attorney. And we could debate the third bullet, but I think it's a revenue stream for you if you have a coaching mindset. We can get any client at least 100,000. We guarantee it. But what do they do after the funding? I have a client, I'll leave his name off. He got 20,000 yesterday for first tranche financing. Well, he got it 2 days ago. I apologize. And so we found out late in the day, 2 days ago, which would have been Monday. And so then we invoiced him for the performance fee and the refundable deposit, which he expected, and he paid already. That wasn't a problem. But he admitted, man, he already spent most of that 20,000. It's almost all gone. Now, if you look at our agreements with clients, our client agreement says you will coordinate with us how you're going to use these funds, because a lot of these people a lot of our clients haven't had big injections of capital, and they will spend that money so fast your head will spin. You got to at least get your funding out of it, of course. But beyond that, are they using that funding that's going to help us move forward? How much of it did they put in their business bank account and leave so they have a bigger bank balance? Are they using it to buy their key person policy if they don't have a website to get a website? And so the coaching element is what I would define as what happens after they get funded, because I told you the story before Christmas. One lady, we got her funded and she went out and bought, her words were close to this: my grandbabies deserve a nice Christmas, and you all have to wait. And so she went out and spent her first tranche financing buying Christmas presents for her kids. No, she's going to court now because she's breached her agreement to pay us. But regardless, obviously, she's not, even if she did pay us, she's not in a great position to move forward in the process because she burnt through all that capital and really didn't reinvest it in her business. We believe that all business should have an insurance agent. Proper coverage, asset protection is crucial, and most small businesses do not have adequate asset protection. And of course, the capital advisor or technical advisor is where you and I fit in. So what's the point here? We need them to understand that they probably won't be successful starting and growing a business, reaching its potential as a lone ranger. And there are just certain professionals, resources, advisors that they probably need, like CPAs and attorneys, arguably business coaches, definitely an insurance agent, and then the role that you and I fill for them, capital advisor, technical advisors. And so with our entrepreneurial ecosystem, you should have relationships with these folks that can refer to you and you can refer to them. Moving on, feasibility data, and we'll skip that. That's just a deeper third-party review to substantiate the assumptions the client's making. Need to identify the client's target market. So these things we're doing as we go through and build a loan package. So don't be confused by that. Lead generation. Obviously, any business, whether it be you as a white label partner, a mechanic that repairs cars, a baker that makes muffins, you've got to know who is your target market and how are you going to go about reaching them. So that's important. Inadequate insurance fits back, and that, of course, is addressed through the where we're at, the advisors. There we go. The insurance agent will help with making sure that they have proper coverage. Cash contribution. Let's look at this a little more deeply. So mistake number 24, inadequate cash contribution. If you want to borrow money from a bank, I'm on the first bullet here, for a conventional or SBA loan, you should plan to contribute 20% of the project, the desired capital raise. The range could be 10 to 30%, but normally you need to bring 20% to the table. So if what we need is 100,000, then normally the bank would expect that the borrower would bring 20,000 of that, have some skin in the game, and then the lender would make 80,000, would loan 80,000. You're going to have a lot of people that come to you and they have no contribution and they're looking for 100% financing. Well, 100% financing is possible, but that's typically where we go in and layer debt. But it's important, and you know this, right? But a lot of clients don't. They'll just come to you. And I have a client right now we're working on, looking at over $5 million, $5 million of capital raise. Do you know what his contribution is? 0. And his payment to us came back as NSF, right? That we're in a tough position there, right? So do all sources of capital require a borrower contribution? Absolutely not. So never take what I say and extrapolate it to say, oh, well, this is always true for all sources of capital. That is an error on your part to do that. But some sources do, especially traditional banks, look for a contribution, right? You know that, I know that. A lot of times they don't know that. So we need them to be aware of that. Need to run our business like a business. And one of the great examples is QuickBooks. I have a wonderful young lady. She's a client. She was probably, I think, my last call yesterday. And she's been with us for a bit. And she's just of this mindset, I'm a startup and I don't have to generate any financial reports. Profit and loss / income statement, balance sheet, that's irrelevant because I'm a startup business. And I had to call bullshit on it, right? You know that. That is an uninformed, uneducated, illiterate position to take. But sometimes that's what they're thinking. So you don't want to hit them over the head with it. But if you take them through the 27 mistakes, we've at least planted the seed that you need to run your business like a business. This isn't a hobby. A hobby is not going to go get 100,000 or 250,000 or 500,000 or $1 million of loans or debt. That's not going to happen. We've got to run the business like a business. And so QuickBooks is an example of that. 26 is a very delicate one. And it's tough. It's tough because you will have some people that come to you and they're looking for too much too soon. Let's take the gentleman from yesterday that I mentioned earlier on the call. He wants $5 million and he'd really like it today. But you know what? He doesn't qualify for $5 million. And we didn't guarantee him $5 million, right? We guarantee 100,000, which can be the first step. But some people will come up with ideas that sound really great and may be great. So I'm not dismissing that, but that doesn't mean that it's doable immediately. we may have to work at it in steps, or we may have to help them build their credibility to get there. And so, well, and you know, where would credibility come in? Come from the 3 C's, making sure that they have the credit, the collateral, the capacity. But it's not uncommon for companies to grow incrementally. I have a number of clients in the transportation industry, and it's not unusual for them to come in and want a whole lot of money to buy a whole bunch of vehicles at one time, even though they're a pre-revenue company. So think about it, if you're a lender, if you're a bank, and so you have someone coming in wanting to buy, let's say 10 trucks or 10 limos for a limousine transportation business, or trucks for industrial transportation. Well, what would the lender do? Well, how's it going so far? How many trucks do you have in operation now? I have 0. Okay, so you're a pre-revenue company, and you're wanting to go from 0 to having this large fleet and taking on this massive amount of debt that you have no ability to pay for right now. So it's not unusual that we're going to need to stair step it to get there. Do they want 10 trucks or 10 limos? I'm sure they do. Would that be profitable? Sure looks like it on paper. But if we haven't even launched 1 truck or 1 limo into service to start generating some revenue and generate profit and cash flow, it is going to be tough to go from 0 to 60 miles an hour instantly. So, but on this, you know, we'll wait until the loan package is built out after the 4 weeks so we can see the big picture. Here, you don't want to start beating people and limiting their expectations and their dreams and their vision and their capital need request too soon, because it may be that they qualify for that aggressive of an approach. But in many cases, our clients don't. And so here we're just trying to plant the seed. We do have to match. The example I love to give is, you know, if I wanted to go start a Tesla, a competitor, would I be able to get the funds to do it? Absolutely not. You know, barring the fact that I don't have the education or industry experience, you know, you're talking about a multi-billion-dollar capital raise. So that's hyperbole. That's an exaggeration to show, but some people will want money, an amount of money that's inconsistent with their current circumstances. And so we either need, in some cases, we may need to adjust either how much capital they're looking for, what they're doing, or improve their credibility to get there. And then lastly, the wrong source of capital. There's different sources of capital for different circumstances. Zahn picked up on the opportunity fund. I'll go back to that. Thank you, Zahn. Where was that? Oh, opportunity fund. The opportunity fund is just branding for becoming a white label partner. So if you have folks that are not able to cash flow, you might have clients, Zahn, that come to you and say, I don't have money to get a website. I don't have money to put in my bank account so it looks solvent. You'd say, great, not a problem. How about we help you earn the adult income, the cash flow that you need? You get them signed up as a white label partner. Your RVP, you get an override, and we help them generate some cash flow. In some cases, people will need some help with cash flow even before they can borrow money. So opportunity fund is the same as becoming a white label partner. All right, so let's open it up for discussions. I used almost our full 30 minutes, and so let me review what I wanted to cover, and then I want to address the rest of your questions or concerns. The 27 mistakes, I believe, is a good, objective, fact-based presentation that, while it can be given while someone is a prospect, it is eminently important that they be exposed to this once they've signed up and as part of module 1. We do that automatically with our direct mentored clients. If you're not delegating your mentoring to us, we strongly recommend that you somehow, some way, go through this information with them, because it creates a foundation of knowledge. It may temper their expectations to become more reasonable. Because again, you will have people that come to you and they sign up, and in their mind, they're getting 100,000, no matter how credible or lack of creditable they are, in 4 weeks. And so we need them to understand this foundation of knowledge. All right, so who has questions on what we've covered today? We've got a lot of people on the webinar, which is great to see you here. How does this help you? Are you concerned about this? Are you currently doing this as part of your client onboarding? If not, will you consider doing it? Do you want to just delegate the mentoring to us and we'll take care of it for you? Looking for feedback, questions, or comments. Joseph, you're one of our big hitters. You're a white label partner, a regional vice president out of Arkansas, licensed realtor. Joseph, can you tell me how you're using this curriculum currently to get your clients off to a good start? Same with Mr. Brock. Mr. Brock, you're one of our top producers. How are you currently using this information, Mr. Brock, for onboarding of new clients? Gigi, you're at the other end of the continuum. You're one of our newest white label partners. Offer me a little feedback, if you will, Gigi, of what you think about this. And if you're going to use delegated mentoring, Gigi, then we'll take care of it. But if not, this is information that I think would really be helpful for your clients. Looking for any feedback, comments, concerns. Renee, you're one of our top distribution partners. What's your feedback, Renee, on how this fits in to the onboarding of access to capital clients, so we have a good common understanding of what we're proceeding with? So if any of you can put your comments, questions, concerns in the Q&A of Zoom. All right, so Jeremy has made a white label version of this. In other words, taken our branding off of it, and he uses it as part of the client welcome and introduction. Excellent. Thank you, Jeremy. Mr. Rich is going to actually present this as a Zoom class on February 3rd. So that's great. So keep in mind, Mr. Rich, when you present this, while it is factual and accurate, you've got to present it delicately to prospects, because they could go through and say, oh no, I don't meet these criteria. I don't think I want to enroll. So instead, what you want to do is let them know that, again, not all sources of capital have the same requirements. And that's our job as technical advisors, is to work through this with you. This is almost in aggregate what we're going to be doing with you to help you improve your credibility, your fundability. Because again, it makes me sad, but you'll have some people that sign up and they just think because they signed up that nothing else has to change, and just they're going to be granted $100,000. Where's my $100,000? I signed up. Well, you've got to meet the credibility, the fundability. We got to figure out what the right source of capital is, and then make sure that you're qualified. We can't allow people's naivety or illiteracy to get them off track of our program. What we do is credible, and it's reputable, and it's needed. It's only when people go off track and create some sort of alternative reality that we just can't live up to. All right. So Jeremy, thank you for that. He's doing it on his own. Winston says, excellent and necessary. Thank you. Yeah, and frankly, we didn't always incorporate this. We've done it now for probably close to a year. But in module 1, when we first start implementing the client, this is part of what we do when we're mentoring clients. But we're being even more aggressive now in assessing their learning of this, because if you just ask them, hey, did you watch it? What's most people say? Oh, yeah, let's just move on. But we want to follow up and ask some questions. All right. Mr. Brock says it helps a lot. Can we send existing clients through the program to get everyone through the module? Yeah, so we covered the delegated mentoring. We launched that last week, Mr. Brock. It's working really well, getting great feedback from it. No upfront cost. Used to be $250 to delegate the mentoring. We got rid of that. And so when you enroll clients on the white label client submission form, there's now a button, a toggle button. Do you want to delegate mentoring or not? It's up to you. If you click yes, then we take it and we run with it. And if you say no, then we get them set up and you take care of mentoring them, billing them, collecting from them, educating them, and so forth. All right, so we ran long, but I think this was an important topic to go back. So this is not a change. This PowerPoint has not changed. It had the 27mistakes.org website has been up for quite some time. This is nothing new, but it is important that we convey it to you that if you're going to mentor your clients, please incorporate this when you're onboarding them. Secondly, if you would like, just like now I forget who was doing that. I apologize. Someone told me they were teaching February 3rd, but I think it was Mr. Rich. But if you would like, you can use this as a way to create a sales funnel, but you have to be very good to do this successfully because the listener, your audience, can come up with two conclusions. The first conclusion, which is the one you don't want, is, oh shit, I don't even come close to qualifying for capital. I'm out. That would be bad. What you want instead is for them to say, wow, there's a little bit more to qualifying for a big capital raise than I thought. But man, I like this Mr. Rich that just taught this. He knows what he's doing. I trust him. I'm going to work with him and I'm going to be successful. So you just got to keep in mind, if they've not seen it before they enroll, they need to see it after they've enrolled. You can certainly use it to create a sales funnel. And think about this from a referral partner perspective. We talked about the entrepreneurial ecosystem yesterday. Oh my goodness, can you think of a library, of a bank, of just name an office building, virtual office? Can you think of any business to business key influencer that wouldn't hear this and say, my God, man, that is needed. This is spot on. This is credible. This is needed. And so those of you that want to go educate to generate leads, you can use this. But again, you just got to be very delicate because how you present it can chase people off or it can attract them to you. It's the subtlety of educating them and helping them understand that you're able to help them get prepared for a capital raise. All right. So thank you, everyone. We'll see you back tomorrow morning. Appreciate your feedback. Have a great day. Let us know if we can help you. Bye-bye.